Welcome to Better Every Day, the podcast where we dive deep into the world of self-improvement, one book at a time. I'm Tom, your host, and along with my co-host Kelly, we'll be breaking down the key ideas from top self-improvement books and turning those insights into actionable steps you can apply to your life. Together, we're passionate about helping you grow and become your best self. Before we dive into today's episode, a quick reminder. If you're enjoying the show, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Your support helps us keep bringing you more book deep dives every week. And if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode. All right, let's get started. We hope you enjoy this episode and that it helps you become better every day.
Welcome to our deep dive into the power of positive thinking. Wow, you've given us a ton of material from Norman Vincent Peale excerpts from both the condensed and the full versions of The Power of Positive Thinking.
Yeah, it seems like you're really interested in not just the what of positive thinking,
Right.
but the how.
The how, yeah.
The techniques that can actually, make a difference in your life.
Make it real, yeah.
And it's really fascinating to me how Peale blends spirituality, psychology, and real-life stories.
Yeah.
He's creating a system, it's almost like a toolbox you can actually use for personal transformation.
Totally. It's like he's acknowledging that everyone faces self-doubt, fear, those moments where you feel stuck.
Yeah.
But he's saying we have more power than we realize. So let's dive into some of the specifics here.
Okay.
One thing that pops up a lot in these excerpts is conquering self-doubt.
Yeah.
Peale mentions a study where 75% of psychology students said lack of confidence was their biggest struggle.
That's incredibly relatable, isn't it?
It is.
I mean, and what makes Peale's advice so powerful is that he was open about his own struggles.
Right.
He wasn't some untouchable guru. He dealt with feelings of inferiority, anxieties about public speaking, even insecurities about his physique.
He gets it.
It makes his approach feel so much more attainable. Okay, this guy gets it.
He tells this story about a businessman who was practically paralyzed by fear before a major deal.
Oh, wow.
And Peale gave him the simple phrase from Philippians 4:3 to focus on, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me.
Yeah.
Now, whether or not you're religious, the point is about intentionally shifting your mental state.
Yeah, it's about that intentionality. And the businessman reported back that it was a game changer for him. It's just a reminder that sometimes, the simplest techniques can be the most effective,
Yeah.
It's about replacing that negative self-talk with something empowering.
It's like creating a new mental habit, right?
Yeah.
Peale even talks about these faith-affirming cards he'd have people carry. Almost like positive affirmations on the go. You'd see them in the car, at your desk.
Right.
Just little reminders to shift your thinking.
Keep it top of mind.
Yeah, what stands out to you about that idea?
The consistency of it.
Yeah.
It's not a one-time fix. It's about actively retraining those thought patterns.
Right.
And that leads into another, I think, big theme in his work, cultivating a peaceful mind.
Yeah.
Peale tells a story about a man who was having terrible insomnia until he rediscovered a childhood ritual of reading and prayer before bed.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's like he tapped back into something that brought him comfort.
Totally.
And peace, right?
Yeah.
Peale talks about emptying the mind, visualizing it like draining a basin of all those swirling worries.
Right.
At least twice a day.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the key.
Okay.
It's not enough to just empty it.
Yeah.
You got to fill it with something else.
You got to replace it, yeah.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. Peale talks about unlocking energy reserves. And he uses this example of a statesman who delivered 7 speeches in a day and was still brimming with energy.
Wow, I can barely get through one.
Right.
Yeah.
His point is that passion fuels us.
Right.
It's that deep belief in something.
Purpose.
Yeah.
That unlocks reserves we didn't even know we had.
Think about it. When are you most drained?
Oh, when I'm bored.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or feeling uninspired.
Tired, yeah.
So finding your purpose, that thing that truly motivates you, can be a game changer in terms of energy.
Totally.
But Peale takes it even further, connecting it to a spiritual dimension.
Right.
It says we can tap into this rhythm of divine energy through relaxation and visualization.
Okay.
It's like accessing a deeper well of energy that's always available to us.
So it's there, we just have to tap into it.
Yeah. Now, another concept he introduces is prayer as a practical tool. He highlights a businessman who developed this unique prayer formula. Prayerize, picturize, actualize.
Oh, I like that. It's fascinating how he breaks down prayer into these actionable steps, right?
Yeah.
Prayerize, talk to a higher power, picturize, vividly imagine the solution or outcome, and then actualize, take action.
Make it happen.
Make it happen, yeah.
It's a very proactive way of looking at prayer, right?
Totally.
It's not just about asking for things, but about aligning your actions with your intentions.
Yeah, there's a really great story about a woman who used this technique to visualize her husband returning home after he had left her.
And he did come back.
He did.
It's a powerful testament to the potential of visualization.
Right, and it's not just wishful thinking.
Right.
It's about combining that visualization with, faith and action.
Peale also stresses the importance of expecting the best. He quotes William James, who said, "Our belief at the beginning of a doubtful undertaking is the one thing that ensures the successful outcome."
It's about setting that intention from the start, believing in the possibility of success.
He tells a story of a struggling salesman who was overwhelmed with fear about providing for his family. His advice: replace that fear with the affirmation, "If God be for me, who can be against me?"
Again, that shift from negativity to empowerment.
He uses a great analogy. A clean engine delivers power. Just like a clean engine runs smoothly,
Yeah.
a mind free of negativity can operate at its full potential.
Right. So how do we clean the engine of our minds?
Right. Peale provides a lot of techniques for that.
Yeah,
But one of the most important is learning to overcome obstacles.
absolutely.
He talks about this go around, under, over, or through approach.
Find a way.
Essentially, find a way.
Yeah.
But it's not just about brute force.
Right.
It's about mindset.
Mindset.
He
Yeah.
highlights the importance of eliminating what he calls little negatives.
Mm-hmm.
Those seemingly small phrases like, "I'm afraid," or "I don't think," that can really hold us back.
They chip away at us.
He tells this story about a golfer who was struggling with his game. He kept getting psyched out by the rough.
Oh, yeah.
That area of longer grass off the fairway, he was convinced he couldn't hit the ball out of it.
Oh, I've been there.
But then, a wise golf partner gave him some great advice.
What was it?
The rough is only mental.
It's all perspective.
It was his perception of the challenge that was holding him back. Once he shifted his mindset, his game improved dramatically.
Wow.
It's a powerful reminder that how we frame challenges can significantly impact our ability to overcome them.
For sure. And that leads us to another major point, I think, breaking the worry habit.
Okay.
Peale recommends a daily practice of emptying the mind, particularly before sleep, visualizing those worries flowing away like water.
I like that imagery.
Yeah.
He also describes a businessman who had this ritual of tearing off the calendar page at the end of each day.
Oh, interesting.
It was a symbolic way of releasing that day,
Letting go.
with its successes and mistakes,
Yeah.
and surrendering it to a higher power.
Starting fresh.
He also cites a verse from Philippians that supports this idea of focusing on what lies ahead.
Right, not dwelling on what's behind.
This ties into his concept of divine partnership,
Mm-hmm.
the idea of seeing a higher power as a constant source of guidance and support. He tells the story of a man struggling with a problem who prayed for guidance and then experienced a shift in mindset,
Wow.
which led to a sudden, clear solution.
Like the fog cleared, yeah.
Peale suggests that by partnering with something greater than ourselves, we open ourselves up to receiving inspired solutions.
Oh, that's a good point.
Now, Peale also dives into the connection between our mental and physical well-being.
Okay.
He's very clear that resentment, hate, anger, those are literally toxic to our health.
Yeah, he even coins this term gridgitis.
To describe the negative impact of holding grudges.
It's like carrying around a bag of rocks.
Right.
Yeah.
He goes so far as to say that emotions are as real as germs,
Wow.
and they can contribute to physical illness. He shares an anecdote about a woman who cured her eczema by forgiving her brother. It highlights the powerful connection between emotional and physical healing.
So it's not just about, thinking positive thoughts, but addressing those deeper emotional wounds.
Exactly.
And finding ways to let go of negativity.
Peale suggests techniques like physical relaxation, lowering your voice when you're angry,
Take a deep breath.
and, of course, prayer.
Yeah.
He emphasizes the power of forgiveness and something he calls grievance drainage,
Oh, okay.
essentially releasing those pent-up negative emotions.
Got it.
Now, one last area we'll touch on in part one might seem a bit surprising, the power of liking people.
Okay.
Peale acknowledges that wanting to be liked is a fundamental human desire.
Yeah, he even quotes William James, who said, "One of the deepest drives of human nature is the desire to be appreciated."
We all crave connection and belonging.
We do.
But here's the interesting part.
Okay.
Peale suggests that instead of focusing on getting others to like us,
Yeah.
we should focus on genuinely liking them.
Oh, interesting.
It's about shifting our focus from ourselves to others. He tells this story about a man who was struggling to make friends. And Peale helped him to see that he was coming across as superior and self-centered.
Too focused on himself.
Yeah, he was constantly trying to make everyone over to suit his own preferences.
So he wasn't really seeing or appreciating others for who they were.
Exactly. He wasn't genuinely interested in them.
Right.
He was more interested in getting them to conform to his idea of who they should be.
I see.
Once he realized this, he made a conscious effort to shift his focus. He started focusing on building up the egos of others, finding their good qualities, and showing genuine interest in their lives.
That's a big shift.
And it transformed his relationships.
Wow.
People responded to his warmth and sincerity.
So it really is about approaching relationships with the spirit of generosity
Yeah.
and appreciation.
Rather than trying to mold people into what we want them to be,
Yeah.
Peale also emphasizes the importance of expressing kindness and appreciation in even small ways. He tells this charming story about a man who made it a habit to greet and chat with the elevator man in his building every morning,
Oh, that's sweet.
just to brighten his day.
Yeah, it's about acknowledging and appreciating every individual,
Right.
regardless of their role or status in life.
And he shares a technique that might be helpful if you're struggling to connect with someone.
Okay.
Peale challenged a man who had difficulty liking certain people to make a list of everything he disliked about them.
Oh, that sounds counterintuitive.
Right.
Why would he do that?
And then for each negative quality, he had to find a positive quality to balance it out.
Okay.
So if someone was overly talkative, maybe they were also incredibly generous or had a great sense of humor.
I see.
It was about shifting his focus from what annoyed him to what he could appreciate.
So it's about intentionally looking for the good,
Exactly.
even in people who rub us the wrong way.
And it worked.
Really?
He started seeing these people in a new light
Wow.
and connecting with them on a deeper level.
It's a powerful reminder that we have the power to choose how we see others.
To focus on their strengths rather than their flaws.
And Peele's message is all about choosing love over judgment,
Yes.
connection over isolation, and positivity over negativity.
Wow, we've covered a lot of ground already.
We have.
From conquering self-doubt to finding peace to tapping into that divine energy.
Yeah.
And even exploring the power of liking people. We'll dive deeper into some of these ideas and explore even more of his insights in part 2 of your deep dive.
I can't wait. Welcome back to your deep dive into the power of positive thinking.
Peale really emphasized the importance of choosing our thoughts carefully, didn't he? It's like he's saying we have way more control over our experience than we realize.
He certainly did. And, you know, one of the most challenging areas where this applies is dealing with heartache and loss. Peale dedicates a good portion of his work to exploring this topic, offering a perspective that might be comforting to some.
You mentioned earlier that he believes in the continuity of life, that death isn't an end, but a transition. He shares some pretty compelling stories from people who've had near-death experiences, right?
Yes. One story that really stands out is about an engineer, a very practical, science-minded individual. He became gravely ill, and during his illness had this extraordinary experience.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What happened?
He found himself in this incredibly beautiful and peaceful place bathed in light. He felt no fear, only a profound sense of happiness. He even thought he might have actually died.
Wow, that's powerful. It sounds like those stories you hear about people who have near-death experiences and come back completely transformed with a new perspective on life and death.
Exactly. And this experience completely shifted the engineer's perspective on death. The fear was gone, replaced by a sense of wonder and peace.
That's a pretty radical shift. Did Peale himself believe in life after death?
He did. He talks about how his own understanding of life and death evolved over time, moving from a place of uncertainty to a deep conviction that death isn't the end.
So he wasn't always so sure about it.
He shares that he gradually arrived at this unshakable belief that there is no death, that all life is interconnected, and that time and eternity are inseparable.
It's a big idea, right? The idea that we're all part of this continuous flow of life that extends beyond our physical existence.
It is. And for many people, this belief can offer a tremendous sense of comfort in the face of loss. The idea that our loved ones aren't truly gone, but simply existing in a different form.
Peale even suggests that we can still have a sense of connection with those who have passed on, even if we can't see them physically.
He talks about experiencing the presence of loved ones who have died and the comfort that brings.
So it sounds like his approach to dealing with heartache is multifaceted, encompassing this belief in the afterlife, a sense of connection that transcends the physical realm and tapping into that inner strength we talked about earlier.
You hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
And that idea of tapping into a higher power, of drawing strength from something beyond ourselves, is woven throughout his work.
It's like he's saying we don't have to go through life's challenges alone, that there's a source of support we can always turn to.
Precisely. He tells the story of a young man who was feeling completely overwhelmed and burnt out. He went to see a wise friend for advice, and the friend simply told him to relax and listen to a passage from Isaiah.
Okay, what did the passage say?
It spoke about how God gives power to the faint and increases the strength of those who have no might. It's a message of hope and resilience, reminding us that even when we feel weak, we can access a source of strength greater than our own.
It's like that saying, when you're going through hell, keep going.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's about surrendering to something bigger than ourselves and letting that strength carry us through.
That's a great way to put it. And the friend's advice to the young man wasn't just to listen to the words, but to actually practice resting in that power, to let go of the struggle and trust in something bigger.
It's a shift in perspective, isn't it? Moving from a place of, I have to do it all myself, to, I can allow myself to be supported.
Exactly. And Peale suggests that this connection to a higher power doesn't just provide strength and comfort, it can also unlock a wellspring of creative ideas and solutions.
Remember that businessman with the queerize, picturize, actualize formula? It seems like he was a prime example of someone who actively partnered with a higher power in his work.
Absolutely. Peale actually recounts a conversation he had with this businessman years later. The businessman confided that whenever he needed a new idea, he'd simply ask for guidance.
So it was like a direct line to inspiration.
He described it as a partnership, a collaboration. He'd prayerize, ask for guidance, picturize, vividly imagine the solution, and then actualize, take the necessary steps to bring it to life.
And the results speak for themselves, right? This guy was incredibly successful. He attributed a lot of his success to this approach of partnering with a higher power.
He even encouraged Peale to share this concept with other business people, emphasizing that we limit ourselves when we rely solely on our own understanding and capabilities.
It's that idea of being open to receiving, of allowing something bigger than ourselves to flow through us.
That's a beautiful way to describe it. And Peale argues that when we do this, we tap into a level of wisdom and creativity far greater than our own.
Okay, so it's not just about personal growth and inner peace. It sounds like this connection to a higher power can also have a huge impact on our ability to achieve success in the practical aspects of life.
Absolutely. And he goes on to emphasize the importance of cultivating a positive attitude, even when things are tough. He even devotes a whole chapter to overcoming negativity and embracing what he calls an I don't believe in defeat philosophy.
He talks a lot about the importance of eliminating those little negatives, right? Those seemingly insignificant phrases like, I'm afraid, or I don't think. That can really undermine our confidence and keep us stuck.
Exactly. He suggests replacing those negative thoughts and expressions with positive affirmations, focusing on what we can achieve rather than dwelling on our fears or limitations.
It's like shifting from a can't-do attitude to a can-do attitude.
Right. Yes. And he cites research demonstrating that people who expect the best tend to create the conditions that lead to positive outcomes. It's about setting that intention and then taking aligned action.
It's almost like those positive expectations become self-fulfilling prophecies. Does he give any examples of this in action?
He does. He tells a story about a man who decided to conduct a little experiment. He tracked the outcomes of various situations based on whether he approached them with a positive or negative expectation.
Okay, I have to know what happened.
The majority of the situations he approached with positive expectations actually turned out favorably.
That's amazing. So
Yeah.
it really does make a difference how we approach things mentally. Our mindset shapes our reality in a very real way.
Peale was a firm believer in that. He believed that if we want to achieve success and overcome obstacles, we need to cultivate a mindset of possibility and expectancy rather than letting fear and doubt hold us back.
So it's not about pretending that challenges don't exist. It's about choosing how we respond to them. Choosing to believe in our ability to find solutions to overcome those obstacles and ultimately to achieve our goals.
That's a great way to summarize it. And Peale offers some very practical advice on how to do this. One suggestion is to focus on what we can control our thoughts, our attitudes and our actions, rather than getting bogged down by things outside our control.
He also talks about that go around under, over, or through approach to problems, right? It's that persistent problem-solving mindset, refusing to give up when things get tough.
Exactly. And he encourages us to see obstacles not as roadblocks, but as opportunities for growth and learning. Remember that golfer who was so afraid of the rough? He was letting his perception of the challenge hold him back.
Once he shifted his perspective, he realized the rough is only mental, and his game improved dramatically. It's such a great reminder that so much of this is about mindset.
And Peale takes it a step further, emphasizing the importance of developing a strong spiritual foundation.
He believed that prayer meditation and the study of Scripture could nourish our souls and strengthen our spirits, making us more resilient in the face of challenges.
He even compares it to a tree that's been battered by strong winds. The tree with deep roots can withstand the storm, while the tree with shallow roots is more likely to be uprooted. In the same way, he suggests that when we cultivate a strong spiritual connection, we develop the inner strength to weather life's inevitable storms.
So it's not about ignoring difficulties or pretending they don't exist. It's about facing them with courage and faith, knowing we have the inner resources to overcome them.
And Peale reminds us that we don't have to do it alone. We have access to a source of strength and wisdom that can guide us and empower us to live our lives to the fullest. It's a message of hope and possibility, encouraging us to tap into our own inner potential and achieve greatness.
It's interesting because he doesn't just offer these vague platitudes about positive thinking. He really does give us practical techniques and tools we can use to shift our mindset, strengthen our faith, and overcome challenges.
That's what makes his work so valuable. It's not just inspiring, it's actionable.
It's about taking ownership of our thoughts, beliefs, and actions, recognizing that we have the power to shape our own reality.
Now, before we move on to the final part of your deep dive, there's one more area Peale explores in detail that we should touch on: the power of human connection. He dedicates a whole chapter to this, titled, "How to Get People to Like You." It might seem superficial at first, but it goes much deeper than that.
He starts by acknowledging something we all know to be true. Wanting to be liked is a fundamental human desire. We all crave connection and a sense of belonging.
He even quotes William James again, who said, "One of the deepest drives of human nature is the desire to be appreciated."
But then he flips the script a bit, doesn't he? Instead of focusing on how to get people to like us, he suggests we should focus on genuinely liking them.
That's the key insight. It's about shifting our focus from ourselves to others, approaching relationships with genuine interest and appreciation.
He tells a story about a man who was struggling to make friends. He felt like no one liked him, and he couldn't understand why.
Peale helped him to see that he was coming across as superior and self-centered. He was constantly trying to make everyone over to suit his own preferences.
So he was so focused on himself that he wasn't really seeing or appreciating others for who they were.
Exactly. He wasn't genuinely interested in them. He was more interested in getting them to conform to his idea of who they should be.
Once he realized this, did he change his approach?
He made a conscious effort to shift his focus. He started focusing on building up the egos of others, finding their good qualities, and showing genuine interest in their lives.
And that made all the difference.
It transformed his relationships. People responded to his warmth and sincerity, and he finally started making the connections he craved.
So it really is about approaching relationships with a spirit of generosity and appreciation, rather than trying to mold people into what we want them to be.
Peale also emphasizes the importance of expressing kindness and appreciation in even small ways. He tells this charming story about a man who made it a habit to greet and chat with the elevator man in his building every morning.
It's about acknowledging and appreciating every individual, regardless of their role or status in life.
Exactly. And he shares a technique that might be helpful if you're struggling to connect with someone. He challenged a man who had difficulty liking certain people to make a list of everything he disliked about them.
That sounds counterintuitive. Why would he do that?
Then for each negative quality, he had to find a positive quality to balance it out. So if someone was overly talkative, maybe they were also incredibly generous or had a great sense of humor. It was about shifting his focus from what annoyed him to what he could appreciate.
So it's about intentionally looking for the good even in people who rub us the wrong way.
Exactly. And this shift in perspective changed the man's relationships for the better. He started seeing these people in a new light and connecting with them on a deeper level.
It's a powerful reminder that we have the power to choose how we see others, to focus on their strengths rather than their flaws.
And Peale's message is all about choosing love over judgment, connection over isolation, and positivity over negativity.
It's a message that seems particularly relevant in today's world, where it's easy to get caught up in negativity and division. We'll continue our exploration of Peale's work in Part 3, where we'll delve deeper into some of his most powerful techniques for positive thinking. Until then, why don't you take some time to reflect on what's resonated with you so far? What are some of the key insights you've gained? And what are some of the practical tools you're excited to try out in your own life? We've covered so much ground in this deep dive. It's amazing how many practical techniques Peale offers for applying the power of positive thinking in everyday life.
Yeah, he really goes beyond just telling us to think positive,
Yeah.
you know? He provides concrete tools and exercises to help us retrain our thinking pattern and cultivate a more positive mindset.
Like those faith-affirming cards for the car
Oh,
we talked
yeah.
about earlier. Such a simple idea, but it speaks to the importance of consistent reinforcement.
Absolutely. Peale emphasizes that shifting to a positive mindset is an ongoing process.
Right.
It's not a one-time fix.
It takes work.
It takes effort and dedication, but the rewards are well worth it.
And he doesn't shy away from the spiritual aspect either.
No, not at all.
He sees prayer as a powerful tool for problem solving,
Yeah.
finding guidance, and even boosting our energy levels.
Remember that businessman's formula?
Yeah.
Prayerize, picturize, actualize.
It's like a blueprint for manifesting our desires.
It is.
First, we prayerize, talking to a higher power about our goals.
Yeah.
Then we picturize, vividly imagining those goals coming to fruition.
Yep.
And finally, we actualize, taking action to make it happen, working towards those goals with faith and determination.
He believed that faith was essential for success.
And not just faith in a religious sense.
Right.
He talks about faith in ourselves, faith in the power of our minds, and faith in the possibility of change.
He seems to be saying that even though everyone faces challenges and setbacks,
Yeah.
we have more power than we realize to overcome them and create the life we desire.
And he backs it up with so many stories
No.
of people who have transformed their lives by applying these principles.
Like the woman who visualized her husband returning home.
And he did.
And he did.
Or the businessman who overcame financial ruin by tapping into the power of prayer and positive expectation.
These stories are so inspiring.
They are.
Because they show us that change is possible even in seemingly hopeless situations.
And it's not just about positive thinking in a vacuum.
Right.
Peale emphasizes the importance of taking care of our physical and mental well-being.
Remember his health formula.
Yeah.
He talks about the toxic effects of negative emotions like resentment, anger,
Holding grudges.
and holding grudges.
Yeah.
He even coined that term grudgitis to describe the negative impact of harboring resentment.
He claims that emotions are as real as germs,
It's true.
and they can contribute to physical illness.
It's a reminder that our minds and bodies are deeply interconnected,
They are.
and that taking care of our emotional health is crucial for overall well-being.
Peale isn't suggesting we ignore or suppress our emotions, though.
Yeah.
It's more about learning to manage them effectively,
Right.
to process them in healthy ways.
He suggests techniques like physical relaxation, consciously lowering your voice when you're angry, and practicing forgiveness.
And of course, he encourages us to turn to prayer and spiritual practices as sources of peace and healing.
So if we had to distill Peale's message down to a few key takeaways,
Okay.
what would they be?
Well, I think one of the most important is the power of our thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
They shape our experiences, our relationships, and ultimately our reality.
By learning to control our thoughts, to replace negativity with positivity, we can truly transform our lives.
But it's not just about willpower.
Right.
Peale also stresses the importance of connecting to a source of strength and wisdom beyond ourselves.
Whether we call it God the universe or simply our higher selves, this connection can provide guidance
Support.
and a deeper sense of purpose.
And finally, Peale reminds us that we are all interconnected, and that by fostering genuine relationships, expressing kindness, and choosing love over judgment, we can create a more positive and harmonious world.
His message is as relevant today as it was when he first wrote The Power of Positive Thinking.
Absolutely. So as we wrap up this deep dive into the work of Norman Vincent Peale, remember this: you have the power to choose your thoughts. You have the power to connect with a source of infinite wisdom and strength.
And you have the power to make a positive difference in the world.
It's been an incredible journey exploring the profound and practical wisdom of this influential thinker. We hope you've gained valuable insights and tools to empower you on your own journey toward a more positive and fulfilling life. Keep exploring, keep learning, and keep believing in the power of your own mind.
That's a wrap for today's episode of Better Every Day. We hope you found some actionable insights to help you on your self-improvement journey. If you enjoyed the episode, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay updated on future deep dives. And if you're on YouTube, hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode. Thanks for tuning in, and remember, small steps every day lead to big changes. See you next time.